So today with the non-typicals, we're going to be going over how to prep your flintlock for Pennsylvania's late muzzleloader season. I do want to just tell you guys this flintlock is unloaded. I already checked that. First thing I like to do is come over here, make sure I do have my nipple in, because we store our muzzleloaders with it out just so any moisture doesn't get in those threads and creates an issue. I do have it in. Next order of business, I like to just kind of play with my trigger a little bit. Make sure everything's feeling good, everything's catching where it needs to. Half cock, full cock. After we did that, we're going to go and install our flint. I like to use a synthetic flint over the natural. They just seem to hold up a little better. That's looking like. And then whenever you're doing this, I like to keep it at full cock. Just be careful, don't touch the trigger. So I'm going to take my flint, figure out which side I like better. This one's a used flint, so it's a little chipped up on the one side. After deciding what side I want to put my flint on, put a nice little leather patch in there, just so it gives you a little cushion so you can really get that flint tightened in there good so that it's not falling out on you. If you don't have that piece of leather, your flint will sometimes crack and you'll be screwed if you don't have another one. So I like to just give that a good little tighten down. Make sure everything's in there. Make sure it doesn't move. And what I like to do is put my prism down and put my gun at half cock. Then I'm going to look in between here, and there should be a very, very, very slight little gap in between your flint and your prism. That way your prism sits flush against the rim of where you're going to put your flash pan powder, and it'll help keep some of that moisture out of there. Once I figured out that everything's good there, I'm going to put my gun down to put the hammer completely down. Make sure it's not coming and hitting the side of my barrel. Making sure everything just fits the way it should, because it's pretty tight in there with these Lyman deer stalkers. So now that I have everything good and tightened up on this end, I'm going to come down here and begin my loading process. I like to use the GOX black powder. I like to use 2F down the barrel. Some people use 3. You can use either. I like to use the actual black powder compared to the synthetics. The synthetics kind of gives me a delay, so I like to be sure I have that quick ignition. Right here is my powder measure. Out of this rifle, we've tested it. We've done some experimenting, and it really likes 85 grains of the 2F. So I'm going to grab my powder measure and my 2F. Dump your excess back into your powder container, and we're just going to set that aside for a second while we get everything cleaned up. Now that we have our powder measured out, I like to put my gun on the floor. I'm going to take my 85 grains of 2F, get that down the barrel. Make sure everything's out. And then out of my flintlocks, this is just personal preference, I like to shoot just your regular round ball. Some people shoot a various type of load. I prefer the round ball over the conicals and everything else. So next, after you get your powder down your barrel, I like to put my looped patch on, get it started, I like to just get it started with my thumb so it's sitting nice down in there. Then I'm going to take my ramrod and make sure that bullet's seated down in. How I like to know that it's seated good is if your ramrod will bounce on top of that round ball if it's good and compact down in there. And we're going to have to go to the range for the last part of this video. So now that we're out here at the range, we're going to load our pan powder. I prefer to use 4F, some people use 3F. I like to get a little powder in there and knock it down into the nipple so that we have good powder clean through. Now that that's in there good, we're going to come over here and shoot it. We're going to take it back to full cock. Come over here and try to hit that box out there.